Hello, in this video we will discuss about the female gonades and hormones regulation. In the female we will discuss. So the first of all we should understand about the female part for understanding. So the female is the secondary female sexual character and primary female sexual character. So the primary female sexual character contain gonades is known as ovary and uterus and vagina and uterus and vagina, while the secondary female character is the adipose tissue are present in the leg and mammary glands. So and the appearance of the female, which that means the less hair and beard less, etc. So the look like the female is due to the hormone, female hormone. So let's begin to understand. Here is the brain of the female, which that contain a primary stimulus from the cerebrum, higher brain cortex, which that is stimulus is during the puberty and when begin the puberty. So the stimulus can be a touch, watching or something, and that gives the stimulation to the thalamus and hypothalamus to stimulate the hormones. So that's hypothalamus is produce the gonadotropin releasing factor. This gonadotropin releasing factor will stimulate through our nerves and stimulate to the adenohypophysis, the pituitary gland. This pituitary gland is secrete the hormone from the adenohypophysis or anterior lobe of the pituitary, because and posterior lobe will not involve and median. So in this way, the nerve stimulation from the gonadotropin releasing factor to stimulate of the adenohypophysis containing cells, which that produce the follicle stimulating hormone. So this follicle stimulating hormone is the endocrine hormone we release into the blood circulatory system and to get a target tissue. For example, these target tissue can be primary follicles. So the primary follicle is developed from the beginning of the during the development of the female, and in this way that primary follicle will not stimulate until the puberty. So this gonadotropin releasing factor will stimulate and release the follicle stimulating hormone. And this follicle stimulating hormone will bind with the primary follicle, which that is already present during the developmental time of the female, during the fetus time. So in this way, the primary follicle will be stimulated when the stimulus, primary stimulus, for example, touch or something which that is stimulate and enhance the hormonal activity to produce the follicle stimulating hormone. This follicle stimulating hormone bind with the primary follicles containing follicle stimulating receptor, and these follicle stimulating hormone receptor when bind to proliferate this follicle. So each time, each period, menstrual period will stimulate the one follicle only. So this follicle will become a oocytes, and this is the primary and secondary oocyte to become a follicular fluid are present is the blue color is showing in the figure, which that is oocyte is the primary oocyte to secondary oocyte to become a mature oocyte, and this mature oocyte will begin to preparation and the ovulation will be occur. Before the ovulation, the follicular fluid containing oocytes, which that is give the negative feedback of the follicle stimulating hormone. So here is the ovulation will be occur, and the corpus luteum is the yellowish glandular structure will be left behind. So here is the egg formation is known as the ovulation. Before the ovulation, the one mechanism is the negative feedback, which that is inhibit the follicle stimulating hormone via a hypothalamus inhibition for the gonadotropin releasing factor. So in this way, this is the basically after the inhibition of the follicle stimulating hormone will trigger the estrogen. This estrogen when trigger, the luteinizing hormone will produce, and this luteinizing hormone will begin the ovulation. So this ovulation is due to the luteinizing hormone, while the yellowish glandular structure will be maintain the endometrium wall. How it's possible, we will discuss. So the corpus luteum will remain until the menstrual cycle, and when the sloughing off in the end of the menstrual cycle, while if the during the pregnancy it will be maintained and not ovulation will be occur again, and the corpus luteum will be trigger the progesterone, produce the progesterone. This progesterone is in inhibit the follicle stimulating hormone, and the estrogen will stimulate the progesterone, and this estrogen will lead to progesterone for the thickness of the endometrium of the uterus, so that develop the endometrium. So in this way the endometrium will be developed, and in this way you can see this is endometrium will be vascularized, and some of the cell of uterine wall become glandular and start secreting proteinaceous secretions, which are taken up by the embryo in early stage. So during the cleavage formation and blastula formation, gastrula formation, and the fetus will that is use this proteinaceous secretion for the nourishment. So anyhow, so the estrogen will be maintained, and this estrogen will basically also the secondary sexual character enhancement responsibility of the estrogen. So it will promote the bone growth and the primary sexual character and secondary sexual character. For example, the primary sexual character means the trigger of the ovary for the releasing of the hormone, and on the other hand important thing is that this ovary will produce the again oocytes, and on the other hand important thing is that the mammary gland, the bone density and mental ability as a female, and muscle adipose tissue, and that is the vagina and uterus and ovary as well as bones, which that is formation and enhancement for the female character. So the female character is the physiological is separate, but the physical appearance is known as the secondary sexual character. Sorry, so the secondary sexual character is the appearance. So on the other hand, the trigger the osteocytes for the bone forms, and the apoptosis will be decreased and osteocyte will be increased. Due to the apoptosis, will osteocytes will be decreased due to the negative apoptosis, and on the other hand the osteoblast activity will be enhanced to produce the osteocytes, which that is bone formation, and osteoclast, which that is inhibited because the osteoclast is used for the resorption of bone, so the deformities or decreasing of the bones is inhibited. So the symptom of estrogen deficiency, if so the painful intercourse, mood swings, brain fog, urinary incontinence, fatigue, nausea, as well as irregular periods and uh, headache. So this all thing is the estrogen deficiency will lead to decrease the secondary sexual character as a mammary gland as well as the female appearance, and the decrease of the libido and decrease of the mammary gland, and osteoporosis will begin. So the promotion of the osteoporosis, it means the deformities of the bone, and the joint pain can be occur. But let's begin to understand with the time wise of the whole age of the female for understanding with the graph. So here is the horizontal show the time 5 years to 17 years, 70 years, and the estrogen production is the vertical, which that is showing the concentration of estrogen in our body. So here is you can see the estrogen basically will be increased during the 15 years old. So after the 15 years that drastically decrease. So here is you can see the 20 years is the much more, but the 30 years lead to decrease, and the drastically decrease into the 60 and 70 and 60 and 70 years old female. So it will lead to menopause. It is the meaning of that after the low a lowering estrogen lead to stop menstrual cycle and known as menopause. While the osteoporosis and deformities, the fat in mammary gland and leg reduces the bones deformation and brittle bone. So that's all thing is done here. That was the female gonades and hormones regulation. So in this way, the homeostasis until the death will be occur. So thanks for watching.